Good morning, my dear students. In the last session, you have studied some of the basic terminologies, some basic terms in biology. This session is also the continuation. In this session, also you will be studying some other terms in biology. Nutrition is the process by which organisms takes food, utilizes it to get energy for growth, repair and maintenance. Nutrition, it is a process where the living organisms takes in the food. So, by that food, they get the energy and that energy will be utilized for their activities. So, that is called as nutrition. Nutrition is of different types. Autotrophic nutrition, two types, autotrophic nutrition and heterotrophic nutrition. So, where the organisms, they prepare their own food and that food will be taken and whatever they get the energy, that will be utilized for the activities. That is called as autotrophic nutrition. Heterotrophic nutrition, it is a type of nutrition in which the organisms, they get the food from the other organisms and from that the energy which is obtained will be utilized for their activities. That is called as heterotrophic nutrition. Organisms are being classified into different groups based upon how do they get their food, nourishment, the nutrition. So, organisms are classified into autotrophs, heterotrophs, saprotrophs. Auto means self, trophos means nourishment. Autotrophs are the group of organisms which synthesize their own organic substances from inorganic raw materials by the process of photosynthesis utilizing solar energy. Autotrophs are the group of organisms which synthesize their own food, organic matter, organic substances from inorganic raw materials by utilizing solar energy through a process of photosynthesis. So, such a group of organisms, they are called as autotrophs. So, producers, autotrophs, producers. Autotrophs are also known as producers. Example, green plants, photosynthetic protist, blue-green algae, cyanobacteria or blue-green algae. They are the examples for autotrophs. They are not dependent on others. So, they have synthesized their own food. So, they are the autotrophs. Heterotrophs. Hetero means other. Trophos means nourishment. For their nourishment, these organisms are dependent on the others. The group of organisms, heterotrophs are the group of organisms which are dependent on the others for their nourishment. Or one more definition. The group of organisms which can ingest a complex food, take in complex food, ingest the complex food. Such organisms are called as heterotrophs. Heterotrophs are also known as consumer. It includes animals. Heterotrophs includes animals or also known as phagotrophs. Phagin means to engulf complex food. So, we take in a complex food, then we chew the food and we can take, yes, within the mouth. Heterotrophs, consumers or phagotrophs. Heterotrophs includes herbivores as well as carnivores. Heterotrophs includes herbivores or carnivores. Saprotrophs. Sapro means rotten. Trophos means nourishment. The group of organisms which obtain their nourishment from the dead and decaying matter, dead remains of plant and animals. Such organisms are called as saprotrophs. So saprotrophs gets their nourishment from dead and decaying matter. So saprotrophs or decomposers. Yes, they include bacteria, fungi. Okay, so they get their nourishment from the dead and decaying matter. Parasite. What is a parasite? A parasite is an organism which is dependent on the another organism for its food and shelter. Parasite is an organism which is dependent on the another organism for its food and shelter. So that organism is called as parasite. The another organism which provides food and shelter to a parasite is called as host. So parasite is dependent on the host organism. Sometimes the parasites not only dependent on host for food and shelter, but later they cause the damage to the host, like they spread the disease. So such a parasites which causes the disease to the host organism, they are called as pathogens. Pathogens are called as disease causing organisms. Pathogens are the disease causing organisms. Symbionts. In nature, we could find two individuals are interdependent. Two different species are interdependent on each other, where both are being benefited either for their shelter or for their food. So both are being dependent on each other. Such a type of relationship between two different species is called as mutualism or symbiotic association, and the interacting species are called as symbionts. So in that relationship also, so one might be dependent on the another for the nourishment. For example, if we take lichen, it is a symbiotic association between algae and fungi, where algae is autotrophic in nature, which prepares the food not only for itself but also for the fungi. So algae provides the food for the fungi. So fungi is benefited. Fungi gets nourishment and provides the water, mineral salts for the algae to undergo the photosynthesis. So algae is benefited by the fungi. So here algae and the fungi which are called as symbionts. So the interaction, symbiotic interaction between algae and fungi is called as lichens. So the green plants are called as autotrophs. They are the producers. Producers are included in a kingdom called Plantae. Plantae includes multicellular, eukaryotic organisms, autotrophic organisms, which is been divided into different groups like Thallophyta, Bryophyta, Pteridophyta, Gymnosperm and Gymnospermae and Angiospermae. Thallus, the next term, thallus. The group of plants which have an undifferentiated plant body is called as thallus. The plant body which cannot be differentiated. So such a plants are called as, the plant body is called as thallus. Those group of plants have been included in a group, in a division called as Thallophyta. Example, in algae. Algae have an undifferentiated plant body, cannot be differentiated into true root, stem or the leaves. So in the division Thallophyta, we could find the algae, and algae plant body is called as thallus, undifferentiated plant body. Tracheophytes, the group of plants which possess vascular tissues. The group of plants which possess vascular tissues are called as tracheophytes. Water conducting tissue, xylem as well as phloem, they are called as tracheophytes. Pteridophytes, yes, Pteridophytes, Gymnospermae, Angiospermae, they are considered as tracheophytes. So they have water conducting tissue, xylem as well as phloem. The next term, Gametophyte, the part of the plant body that produces the gametes. The plant body that produces the gametes is called as Gametophyte. In case of the plant kingdom, the division Bryophytes, we could find the main plant body is Gametophyte. So in plants we could find alternation of generation, where Gametophyte alternates with Sporophyte or Sporophyte alternates with the Gametophyte. It is an important characteristic feature. So the plant body that produces Gametophyte is called as, which produces the gametes is called as Gametophytes. In case of algae, Bryophytes, main plant body is Gametophyte, which produces Antheridia, Archegonia. Yes, Antheridia produces out male gametes, an organ in which which produces male gametes. Archegonia produces out in which a female gametes are being produced. So Gametophyte, the term Gametophyte means the plant body that produces the gametes, male gametes or female gametes. Next term, Sporophyte, the plant body that produces the spores are called as Sporophytes. Pteridophyte, Gymnosperm, Angiosperm, the plant body of these group of plant, it is Sporophyte, they produces out the spore. The plant body that produces the spores are called as Sporophyte. Dicotyledons also known as dicots. Dicotyledons or dicot, it is a class of angiosperm. Division angiosperm is being divided into two classes, dicotyledons and monocotyledons. So dicotyledons is a one class of angiosperm which have two cotyledons within a seed. Yes, so that is called as dicots. Monocotyledons or monocots is the another class of division angiosperm. In these plants, the seeds have only one cotyledon. So they are called as monocotyledons. Example, maize. Yes, dicotyledons, groundnuts is an example. Coming to the division angiosperm includes the flowering plants. So angiosperms are called as flowering plants. The plant body has two: root, stem, leaves, flowers and the fruits. The plant body is divided into shoot system and root system. Yes. Above the soil we can find the shoot system, and below the soil we could find root system. Shoot system. What is the shoot system? The ascending part of the plant axis. The ascending part of the plant axis that is developed from the plumule part of the embryo. It is the ascending part of the plant axis that is developed from the plumule part of the embryo. During the seed germination, you could find like this. Yes, one is the plumule and another is radicle. The plumule gives rise to the shoot system, that is stem, and radicle gives rise to the root system. So, ascending part of the plant axis, that is called as a shoot system, which is developed from the plumule part. Root system. The descending part of the plant axis developed from the radicle of an embryo, that is developed from the radicle of the embryo, that is called as root system. There are two types of root system: taproot system and fibrous root system. Taproot system, which is found in the dicots. In this type of the root system, taproot system, where the primary root produces the tertiary, this is. Yes, primary root produces secondary and tertiary roots. So that is called as the taproot system. Fibrous root system is found in case of monocots. It is found in the monocotyledons, monocot plants like grasses, maize and all, where primary root dies and produces the roots from the lower part, from the base of the stem. So that is large number of roots will be produced from the base of the stem. That is called as fibrous root system. Root system are of two different types. Root. What is root? Root is the part of the plant body that grows downwards, that develops from the radical part of the embryo. Root is the part of the plant body that develops from the radical part and grows downwards into the soil. And what are the functions? It provides anchorage. Yes, it helps in absorption of water as well as mineral salts. Yes, so we could find the roots. It is the part of the plant body which is being developed from the radical part. Yes, and provides anchorage as well as the absorption of water as well as mineral salts. Stem is the ascending part which is above the soil, which is being produced from the plumule and also produces out branches, flowers, fruits. It produces out branches, leaves, flowers and the fruits. The stem has node and internode. The point from where the leaves are being produced, so that is called as a node. The portion between two nodes is called as internode. Where does a leaf arise? So it is at a point that is called as node. What is the function of the stem? It helps in conduction. Roots absorbs water, so it will helps in conducting the water. It will help to move water to the other parts of the plant body as well as produces branches, leaves, flowers and fruits. Leaf. Leaf is the lateral. It is produced lateral. Yes. It is the lateral flattened part of the plant. Flattened structure born on a stem. It develops. Where it develops? It develops at the node region. And this is called as internode. This is called as internode. So at each node on the stem produces the branches, that is the leaves is being produced. Leaf is the flattened part. It is generally flattened and develops on the stem at the nodal region. So what is a flower? So flower is the reproductive unit of a plant. Flower is the reproductive unit of the plant which takes part in sexual reproduction. A flower can be called as complete. It should have 4 whorls. Yes, calyx, outermost green color called as sepals. It should have corolla called as petals which are colorful in nature. Androecium as well as gynoecium. So related to the plant physiology, yes. So osmosis. Osmosis is the movement of solvent molecules from a region of its higher concentration to the region of lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. Through a semi-permeable membrane, that is called as osmosis. You know that cell membrane or a plasma membrane. Okay, so it is a thin membrane which is semi-permeable in nature. So movement of, we can find only those substances needed by a cell, so moves in or out of a cell. Okay. So osmosis is a movement of solvent molecules from region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. So osmosis is of two types, endosmosis as well as exosmosis. So for example, grapes, the dry raisins when placed in water, we can find they get swollen, is an example for that we can see in our houses. Yes, so osmosis, that is increase in its volume. Okay, so it is endosmosis. Fresh grapes, okay, so when we place it in a hypertonic solution, so that time we can find that takes place, that is called as exosmosis. Diffusion, the free movement of the molecules from, yes, it is the free movement of the molecules of a substance from region of its higher concentration to the region of lower concentration. What is diffusion? Diffusion is a process where the free movement of molecules from a region of its higher concentration to the region of its lower concentration, that is called as diffusion. Yes, it can be seen in our day-to-day life. Okay, so when you perform a puja and put an agabati in one corner of the puja room, after some time the smell spreads to the whole room or a whole house. Okay, so that is called as diffusion. Take a beaker, put water and put a copper sulfate crystal. Yes, it is blue in color. So after some time it diffuses out and water becomes blue in color. Imbibition, absorption of water molecules by the hydrophilic colloidal substance. Imbibition is called as absorption of water molecules. Yes, imbibition is the process where absorption of water molecules by the hydrophilic colloidal substances. So that is called as imbibition. Okay, so you could find that when there is heavy rains, we could not close our doors. Why? Because they have swollen. The hydrophilic colloidal substance, those substances have the attraction towards the water molecules. So, and they get swollen up. That process is called as imbibition. Plasmolysis. Plasmolysis is defined as shrinkage of protoplasm. Shrinkage of protoplasm when a cell is placed in hypertonic solution. Transpiration. What is transpiration? Transpiration is defined as loss of water in the form of vapor from the aerial parts of the plant body. Loss of water in the form of vapor from the aerial parts of the plant body through stomata, cuticle. Yes, we could find the transpiration takes place. Photosynthesis. It is the process seen in the plants, where by taking up the raw materials like carbon dioxide, water, chlorophyll, sunlight, they synthesize the organic compounds. That process is called as the photosynthesis. So these were some of the basic terms which you might have studied. Some you might have studied. Yes, and again you will study it in your first year as well as second year. Thank you.